Live from Waterford and Dungarvan, this is Waterford at 1 News.
Good afternoon, I'm Liz Reddy. Today's top stories. Taoiseach warns people not observing social distancing will look back and wish they'd done more to stop the spread of the coronavirus. Gardaí say that 300 new members of the force sworn in this morning will be mainly involved in community policing. The owner of a pharmacy chain in the southeast says the numbers of customers passing through their 17 stores has doubled in the last 10 days. And in sport, the World Snooker Championship is the latest sporting event to be postponed. The HSE is placing an order for 300 new ventilators in anticipation of a surge in confirmed coronavirus cases. It's signing an agreement with a manufacturer to deliver 80 ventilators on a weekly basis going forward. There are normally around 500 ventilators available in hospitals nationwide. Health Minister Simon Harris says they're also securing additional ventilation rooms.
On top of that, we will have 250 ICU beds with ventilation. And the private hospitals, which we're in talks with and talks that need to conclude quickly, they have 164 ventilation rooms.
The Taoiseach has warned people who are not observing social distancing will look back and wish they'd done more to stop the spread of the coronavirus. Simon Coveney says people have to put pressure on their own families to follow medical advice and not have parties or gatherings. The Seanad's debating legislation to restrict the movement of people after the Dáil approved it yesterday. Taoiseach Simon Coveney has said everyone needs to step up and step apart.
We need to confront our families and our peers and our communities to make sure that everybody takes that seriously. And if we do, we will save lives, thousands of them. And at the moment that sounds almost abstract. It sounds like we're living in a movie set. But believe me, when we look back in 6 weeks' time or 12 weeks' time, we'll wish we'd done more.
Gardaí say that the 300 new members of the force sworn in this morning will be mainly involved in community policing during the outbreak. There are now 14,758 Gardaí of all ranks, the largest it's ever been in the history of the state. The Garda Chief Superintendent in the Waterford Division, Pádraig Dunn, says he doesn't foresee guards patrolling the streets to try to keep people indoors, as is happening in Italy and Spain. He says leave for all Gardaí in Waterford has been severely curtailed to deal with this outbreak.
We have limited it down to a minimum, and we have also reconfigured the shifts, so everyone now is working 12-hour shifts, 4 days on and 4 days off, and that will be done into the foreseeable future. As a result of reconfiguring the shifts, we have more available guards out on the foot patrols and out on mobile patrols, give reassurance to the community, because unfortunately there's still crime happening in the communities and we have to investigate it, which we have the capacity to do, but we also have that additional capacity now to reassure communities.
The owner of a pharmacy chain in the southeast says the number of customers passing through their 17 stores has doubled in the last 10 days. Ronan Mulligan of Mulligan's Pharmacy told Damien Tiernan on Dayshow today that they're trying to ensure that all customers get the medication they need.
We've seen 50,000 people through our doors in the last 10 days through transactions and prescription dispensing. You know, our business was created on a face-to-face model. I suppose that model is broken for now. The other underlying illnesses in the community haven't gone away, whether you have a heart condition or cancer. So being able to kind of create touch points for those people as well, it's critical. Last week, obviously, we had a big spike and it was throughout the economy where people just went out and bought. It created a huge problem. People who were looking for 6 months supplies of medicines. People were only getting used to the idea of what was to come. We asked people, look, we can't do that now because it's going to deny other people.
He says these are very challenging times for those involved in healthcare.
We are keeping a constant supply of medicines. There's no price increases. In fact, there's been price decreases and services. We now hopefully will move, like all pharmacies are challenged. This isn't about Mulligan's. It's about people in the hospitals, in the surgeries. They're extremely challenged. And it's about an industry working together with the community, and they're beginning to understand the new norm.
Businesses affected by the COVID-19 pandemic will be given a 2-month break from rates. Minister John Paul Phelan says there will be a provision to review this at the end of the 2 months. Waterford Fianna Fáil councillor Adam Wise says this is to be welcomed, but he thinks this may not go far enough for business owners.
I'm speaking to business owners every single day. This isn't a 2-month thing. This is 4, 5, 6 months for people in tourism. You're probably talking a year out of the game now. The likes of the Tesco's, the shopping, the convenience stores, maybe they'll come back a lot sooner, but a lot of people are literally just talking about closing up for 4 or 5 months, and so they're going to need to announce this again. Whatever government is in place at that time, you're going to have to extend that.
He says the council will have to be reimbursed by the government or else there will be major disruption to services.
For Waterford Council, what it means is we usually bring in about €30 million in rates. We're now talking about bringing in only half that, €15 million. Last year, the whole council nearly collapsed because of €3 million shortfall. Pretty much this comes down to the government now today have to literally give a bailout to pretty much every local authority in the country. If they don't do that, you are going to see major stoppages to the service that councils provide.
The owner of a pub in West Waterford says her bar is sad and lonesome without customers. The Central Bar in Cappoquin closed its doors following government advice on gatherings and social distancing. Nora Flynn, who's a former councillor and mayor of Waterford, says she's worried about her customers.
We've been in business 31 years and never did we think that would be something like this. You would have to close the door. In a public house in a small town like this, you have rural and people on their own that love to come for their chat and their 2 or 3 drinks. And I've been trying to keep in touch with all of them that will have mobile. Thank God so far they're all keeping good. There's a great worry there for everyone. I suppose we're there a long time, please. We'll survive and looking forward to getting back to our customers. But they are weird, scary times.
And just an update on the rate story. The rates payments for businesses impacted by the COVID-19 can be deferred for 3 months. The government's agreed the move with local authorities around the country, including Waterford. It's aimed at those companies immediately affected by the crisis, such as retail, hospitality and childcare sectors. Housing Minister Owen Murphy announced the move at lunchtime. A bookshop in Waterford City is offering a home delivery service. The book centre closed its doors on Monday evening due to the COVID-19 outbreak. Manager Catherine Kavanagh says staff are still working to get a range of items out to customers.
Anybody can ring the shop on 873 823 and once we have the item in stock, we will get it out to the customer. We are using a courier and we're actually going to take to the road ourselves as well. Our website is open 24/7. That's thebookcentre.ie. And again, all stock can be bought on that. Child's book, a stamp, a card, a roll of wrap, anything. Once we have it in stock, it's not a problem. We'll get it out.
Waterford man Rory Hearn is campaigning to get elected to the Shannon NUI panel as a voice for housing, homelessness and social justice. He's originally from Tramore and is currently living in Dublin. He explained why he's putting himself forward for this election.
I felt that given the housing and homelessness crisis, I've been writing about housing, researching it, putting forward proposals, policy ideas for a number of years. And I felt that we needed senators, people in the Senate, who understood housing policy, who understand the issues around homelessness. I've worked with homeless people. Also the wider kind of housing issue affecting how can we provide affordable housing, how can we provide social housing.
He says now more than ever the Shannon needs people who can make a major contribution to solving the health and housing crisis.
Who actually, understand kind of social policies, housing policies, health policies, and have the passion and commitment to push through policies that would support them, like we look at the moment in terms of the health systems. At the moment, we're facing this crisis with a health system that's on its knees. People in Waterford are well aware of the problems with our health system and the lack of cardiac support. And I have always stood up for and proposed, a properly funded public health system that is available for everybody.
WLR Sport.
With Virgin Media Waterford. Virgin Mobile on a 30-day contract. Nothing hidden.
The World Snooker Championship has been postponed because of the coronavirus. The tournament was scheduled to take place from the 18th of April to the 4th of May. Organisers hope to reschedule the tournament in July or August. The championship has been held at the Crucible in Sheffield for 43 years in a row. The The president of the International Olympic Committee, Thomas Bach, says the cancellation of the Tokyo Games is not on the agenda despite the global pandemic. Bach says they're committed to the success of the Olympics, which are due to get underway in Japan on the 24th of July. They said they're considering different scenarios, but unlike many other sports organisations or professional leagues, they are 4.5 months away from the Games. The Olympic flame arrives in Tokyo later after a handover ceremony in Athens yesterday. All 19 League of Ireland clubs, including Waterford FC, will hold further talks with the FAI today to discuss the next steps for this season, with June looking like the earliest possible month for the resumption of football in Ireland. The league is hoping that would give them enough time to complete the current campaign before the end of 2020. The English RFU has cancelled all games in England for the season apart from the Premiership. The RFU says it wants to bring clarity to clubs but remains in talks with the top tier league. The Irish rugby season is done and dusted with immediate effect, while Pro 14 organisers have suspended the season indefinitely, with this year's final in Cardiff in June also cancelled. And for the first time since 1954, the iconic Monaco Grand Prix won't be part of this year's Formula One season. They've confirmed that the Dutch and Spanish Grand Prix due to be staged in May have also been postponed, following on from the races in Australia, Bahrain, Vietnam and China. Racing continues behind closed doors on the all-weather track at Dundalk today. The first of 8 races goes to post at 1:30. Sports news on WLR's thanks to Virgin Media Waterford.